Hi everybody, welcome to our Week 8 review. I'd like to talk a little bit about what I took away from your mid-semester evaluations and also from your discussion board on assessment. So let's jump right in. First, the important stuff. This is what came out of what you responded to that mid-semester evaluation. So as I told you, I really do take to heart what you all say on those evaluations, and so from here on forward, your weekly reading quizzes, you will have 45 minutes to complete them. So some of you told me that the time was stressful for you. Please know that something important for you to do in the future with your professors is make sure that you communicate early on in the course if there's something that's difficult for you. I did have one student communicate that early on to me, and it's important for all of you to communicate with me. If you have any problems with assignments, any difficulties, please make sure that you do drop me an email because that's something that's really easy for me to fix, and I hate to have known that you were suffering for 8 weeks. So please do make sure that in the future that you communicate with me. Not every professor will easily be able to make changes like that because some things do need to stay as they are for certain reasons, but that's something that's easy for me to change for you. So your weekly reading quizzes, you'll have 45 minutes. Your discussion boards, also some people said that it was difficult for them to get their first post done by Wednesday. And so I'm going to go ahead and shift the dates on your discussion boards. Your first post for your discussion boards will now be due on Thursdays, and your response to 2 classmates will be due on Saturdays. Now, hear me on this. There are some of you that are still not responding to 2 classmates, and it's really important that you do that you have that interaction with at least a couple of people from the course. That's what a discussion board is all about, of course, interacting with each other, because we don't have that face-to-face interaction in this course because it's a virtual online course. So from here on out, you will have till Thursday to make that initial post. The reason why it's due earlier in the week and not until Sunday is because I've got to give time for people to respond to each other. That's why it's earlier in the week. And so please make sure to have that first post done by Thursday so that you can respond to each other's posts by Saturdays. Now, there were several places in the course each week that I needed to make that change. So if you find somewhere in the course that it still says Wednesday and Friday for your due dates, feel free to call me on it, to go ahead and email me and say that it's incorrect, but your due dates for that discussion board will now be Thursday for the initial post, Saturday for your response to 2 classmates. I did have several people also let me know in the evaluation, the mid-semester evaluation, that sometimes you have a hard time sticking to due dates, that every once in a while something will happen in your family and that you'll find the need to turn something in late. Let me speak to that a little bit. It does talk about in the syllabus the need to turn things in on time and the course policy for not accepting late work. I do understand when emergencies happen. I have them happen to me. Everybody has emergencies happen. It's really important that you also communicate with your professors when emergencies happen. So if somebody in your family is in the hospital, if something happens that's an emergency, right? So your child falls and breaks his arm and you're in the emergency room when it's time to turn something in, please email me. Please let me know that something like that is going on and that you weren't able to turn something in on time, because that does constitute an emergency. But it is important, other than those types of situations, to stick to due dates. And you'll find that in your courses in college, generally, professors are not going to accept late work unless it was an emergency. So learn to balance those things. Learn to know that life happens and that things happen to all of us. We all have those things happen, and that generally your professors will understand when you communicate with us. But we also do need to stick to those due dates because it's important for us to develop those pieces of responsibility. With that said, I want to walk through the syllabus just a little bit with you and help you learn to make the syllabus your friend. So let's do that for just a second. Okay, here's a copy of the syllabus, and you'll notice how I tend to read through a syllabus. I like to cross things off, highlight things, let myself know what's going on. So for instance, this is not a printed version, it's on my computer. So if I just, let me grab this here. If I just finished week 8, I would like to cross off week 8 and know that I've made some progress in the course. I know that each week, generally, I've been having a weekly reading quiz, something to read, a discussion board, and a scenario solution. But if I look ahead to week 9, I'm going to notice that, there's not a scenario solution there. I might circle that and know that, phew, I get to rest a little bit from something this week. I do have a discussion board to complete, I have a chapter to read, and I've got some videos. So I know I have a little bit of space to breathe this week, but if I look ahead next week, I see that I have a chapter to read, and I need to skim what's called the TEKS, or the text, which are the Texas standards. And I'm going to just give you a hint ahead of time that this is kind of a long document online. And so it might be worth my while to work ahead a little bit if I'm seeing that this week I have some time and next week I've got something extra. So use the syllabus to your advantage. The fact that you have the whole semester planned out for you, use that to your advantage. With that said, remember that last week or the week before, I think, I announced to you that I posted a new version of the syllabus with some information about I'm trying to find it here. I think I passed it. Let me find it. The Service Learning Project, which is right here. Please make sure that you have already read this, and if you haven't, that you go ahead and read it. This is something that you want to start on now. If you haven't started already since the time that I posted it, you want to start on it now. And I'll go ahead and show you in Blackboard where that's located. Because if you take a look, it's a total of 13 videos that you'll be watching. 10 are kind of short, and 3 are 3 full lessons, about 30 minutes each. You'll be doing an observation log for those lessons, and you'll be writing a reflective essay, which is about 1,000 words long. So you need to pay attention to the fact that this is a long project. It's not something you can complete the week before it's due. You might be able to, but I sure wouldn't be able to do so. So please take a look at the complete instructions for this. Where can I find the complete instructions? If I go into Blackboard here, this is where I enter the courses here in the course announcements area. This is where all the videos for each week are posted. And if I come over here on the left-hand side to syllabus and course content, again, this is where I pointed you to last week for the PSA project. If I click on assignments, this is where I'm going to find all of the major-ish assignments for this course. You might think about starting to take a look ahead at this lesson plan assignment also, but I'm going to click on the Service Learning Project right now. And this is where all of the instructions for that assignment are. Please, this week, I want you to go ahead and take a look at all of these portions of this assignment so you make sure you understand them, because it's something that you want to go ahead and get started on. If there is a portion you don't understand, please go ahead and email me now so that we can clear that up and you can get started on this project. And finally, this last week we talked about assessment, and wow, it was a really great discussion, everybody. You have a lot to say about it, which we all have a lot to say about assessment. We've lived through assessment as students, and we've seen our own children live through assessment, or our students live through it. I think we all agree that there is inherent bias in standardized assessment. Could be about language, learning styles, special education children certainly suffer under standardized assessment. It could be a cultural bias. You all had a lot of interesting things to say. I hope that you had a chance to read all of your classmates' additions to that discussion board, because you really did a great job this last week. I think generally a test that is standardized, we can think, tends to hold a bias against the standard. And so anything that is not standard has a bias against it. So if you think about the standard, so to speak, being white middle-class households, any student that does not belong to a white middle-class household is going to have a hard time on a standardized assessment. A lot of you had really interesting things to say about what about students who don't speak Spanish or English, come from a different culture or home? What about students who do speak English but not the standard form of English? A lot of really interesting things that you had to talk about. So I loved what you had to say about alternative forms of assessment, like formative assessments we can use in the classroom more on a daily or weekly basis, performance assessment, portfolios, observations, all different things that you had to say were really great ideas. I hope that you keep these things in mind as you head into your own classrooms, because sometimes they're easier said than done. Please keep that in mind. It's important as teachers, as educators, to constantly be working for the good of our students and to know that they deserve better than a standardized assessment as the only way to show what they learn. So thank you guys for all your hard work. You're doing a great job. You're more than halfway through your semester. And please, again, keep your communication open with me. Drop me an email whenever you need to, and we'll be in touch. Have a great week.